President Linczek, Provincial Ashman, esteemed trustees, faculty and staff, all students, friends and family, and especially graduates of this year of 2015. It's a great honor for me to be here today, and I congratulate all of you for completing another successful academic year, the 50th class to graduate since the college began. Excuse me, I'm going to break protocol and take this off because, you see, I don't have much for it to hang on. It's annoying me by sliding all the time. And I don't want to be too stiff. So it's our 50th year of the college, as we know. You are the biggest graduating class in 45 years, I believe, the third largest in history. So indeed, we have much to celebrate today as we also conclude this Jubilee year of 50 years. The Superior General, Heinz Kulicke, and the Vice Superior General, Bob Kisalo, who's an alumnus of Divine Word College. Both would have loved to have been here, but you know, those big guys, they have to plan their schedule years and years in advance, and neither could make it. So I guess they said, well, why don't you send Mark? He doesn't have much to do. All these things we celebrate, but especially we honor and celebrate your achievement, graduates. Your hard work and perseverance bear fruit today as you receive your degrees. And so today is an important transition for each of you, a milestone as you prepare to go forth from here to the next steps of your journeys as lay leaders in the church, as religious, heading for new or renewed assignments, as SVD candidates or novices continuing your formation. We all are here to rejoice with you in your achievements. You go forth from here with degrees in things like cross-cultural studies, philosophy, or religious studies, which are, of course, the very subjects that you came here to study, right? But I have bad news. Zach, your mom was correct. You should have stuck with microbiology. If you really wanted to get something practical, something with a good financial payback, you kind of came to the wrong place, and you got the wrong degrees. I recently read where Michigan State University's Collegiate Employment Research Institute, which gathers information on college graduates and how what their starting salaries are in the workplace. They did a survey, the best bachelor's degree to get this year in terms of financial payback, electrical engineering, followed by computer engineering, mechanical engineering, software design, computer programming, chemical engineering, and so on. Because those type of degrees, like microbiology, are highly technical, the graduates command higher salaries because they can apply that technical knowledge immediately in the workplace. Georgetown University also has a similar center, the Center on Education and the Workforce. And they compiled a similar list, and the top ones in terms of not only salaries, but also employability, looking at how many people with a certain type of degree can't even find jobs in their area. So they look at all those things, and the top ones are similar in terms of those highly technical degrees. But they also showed the low ones. Number 4 from the bottom of their list, philosophy and religious studies. liberal arts in general is number 5 from the bottom. So, you've obviously chosen the wrong degree. If your primary concern was getting something immediately practical in the marketplace. So have you foolishly wasted these years of your lives? I agree with you, and so does St. Paul in his first letter to the Corinthians, where he says, if anyone among you considers himself wise in this age, let him become a fool, so as to become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness in the eyes of God. We celebrate today the fact that your education here at Divine Word College has given you the impractical perspective of God's foolishness. Exactly what we need in a world weary of war, a world in which technology alone has not advanced the prospects of peace between peoples, a world in which it's not considered realistic to expect economic systems to benefit all people, or practical to share the earth's resources and wealth equitably. And so you have studied, it seems to me, not to prepare for the best paying job or to become the next Bill Gates, but to enable yourselves to participate in the very theme you have chosen for today. His mission is our mission. You have not studied for self-fulfillment, but for equipping yourselves to help others find human fulfillment. Today you go forth not with a self-centered ideal like exact those things you Googled, often in graduation speeches, like, oh, be true to yourselves and be true to your dreams. But I think your perspective shows itself to be different, that you go forward with a vision that presumes we are true to ourselves and our dreams by being of service to God's dream, to God's vision, to God's truth, to God's mission. Your very impractical degrees represent your commitment to God's impractical, foolish project of building a new heaven and a new earth. You came here not to become more marketable, but to be engaged in the mission of God. And so how has your time here prepared you for that engagement? I'd like to point out just 4 things I think are essential, 4 aspects of your time here that you should treasure and that you should take with you. First of all, intellectual discipline. I challenge you to keep thinking creatively. Certainly the academic rigor that your teachers subjected you to has enabled you to think more critically. You know how to delve into problems, make an inquiry, and go deep, and keep asking questions, and not just seek quick and easy answers, which is what we're bombarded with in this age of Twitter. Beyond technical answers to immediate questions, you have learned to think creatively. You can draw upon the musings of those who have gone before us and who have thought through things before. Even in Japan, where we know technology is highly esteemed and celebrated, there has been, and where technology has kind of dictated how higher education there has been shaped in these very technical ways. The need for creative thinking is causing them to re-examine any higher education that does not include the liberal arts that you have studied. The Chronicle of Higher Education recently quoted a researcher for the Japanese National Institute for Policy Research, who said, people know their own field, but once they're outside of it, they don't know where to start. Graduates, keep thinking. Keep thinking creatively. Think outside the box. Make new connections. With your impractical degrees in hand, think impractically and envision something not yet tried. Secondly, your intercultural competence. You've had the unique experience of studying, working, and living with people from different cultural backgrounds than your own, as Zachary had mentioned. And so you have grown in your competency, your ability to interact with people other than those you know. You have embraced as normal an atmosphere of multiple languages, accents, smells, and flavors, skin colors, looks, everything. You have, during these years, gotten a taste of the all-inclusive reign of God, the richness of intercultural living, reminding you that wherever you go, you will serve God's mission by being welcoming, inclusive. In a world where normal is fear of those who look different, distrust of those who sound different, and even hatred of those who believe differently, please take with you the priceless experience you have had of living this new normal. So keep learning from those who are other. Keep alive the impractical vision of a multitude of different peoples living in harmony and seeking the common good. And keep making unusual friendships. Thirdly, your spirituality. All of you have spent the past few years not only studying, not only sharing in an intercultural communion, but you have learned to ground yourselves in the sacred. You have gone deep into the root of all truth, the source of all communion. In a world where time is money, just sitting in the presence of God would seem a waste of time, not yielding any tangible, measurable results. But we can only be immersed in making God's mission our own if we impractically spend time in prayer. So take with you what you have experienced from our SVD spirituality that we've inherited from St. Arnold Janssen. And remember that our 2006 General Chapter of the SVD addressed spirituality by reminding us that, quote, the Spirit leads us to what is essential in our lives and ministry, into the dynamic life of God, the source of our unity and diversity. In this way, we are caught up in Christ's mission to regather all peoples, inviting them and welcoming their rich diversity into a new creation. And so, keep on praying. Keep wasting time with God. Keep wasting time in liturgy and prayer with those who are also on the way, and keep on praying with those who express their spirituality in culturally different ways, with those of other faiths, with those you don't agree with. Keep on praying. And fourthly, your formation. Keep on growing. All of you have given serious attention to your overall formation, where you attempt to integrate your academic learning, your intercultural interactions, your spirituality, and your emotional life. That growth can't stop today, graduates. Our SVD constitutions remind us that formation is a lifelong task. It says, all of us should be aware that both our life and our vocation aim at constant growth and maturity. We never reach the goal but we are always on the way. So keep on growing. In a world in which divisions are celebrated, in which hardened, uncompromising positions are praised, where standing your ground is admired, keep on taking the impractical stance that says, I'm listening, I'm still learning, I'm not yet finished, I'm not yet complete, I'm still evolving. Go forth telling people the words of a gospel song. Please be patient with me. God is not through with me yet. So graduates, as you go forth from here, committed to serving God's mission, take with you at least those 4 important elements of your time here. Reminding you that God's mission requires your whole self, not just your intellectual understanding, but something that engages your mind, your body, your emotions, your very soul. You will be graduates of this highly impractical place, an institution too small to be a college, with too few students to interact with, in a too rural area of Iowa to be cosmopolitan. I've heard it all before, and so have a lot of us. But at this place, out here in the midst of the rolling hills of Iowa, you have found the resources, a dedicated staff, an incredibly diverse student body, and friendly and faith-filled local folks as well. Found all that you need to equip you to participate deeply in God's mission. And so we send you forth. You will be tempted at times to be more practical, to be more realistic. I heard on the radio this morning driving in, the great blues legend B.B. King died yesterday. One of his more famous, one of my favorite pieces of his is "The Thrill Is Gone." Of course, he's speaking about a relationship. But there are always going to be moments in your lives when the thrill will be gone, when you get discouraged, when you face difficulties. And then the temptation is, when we're in those times, when the thrill is gone, that we simply settle. We simply accept what is. We find the most comfortable spot we can, and we stop dreaming. We no longer imagine what could be. And that's when we need to remind ourselves that it is God's mission, God's foolishness, God's reign. Our last general chapter in 2012 concluded by quoting St. Paul from 2 Corinthians. It is all God's work. He reconciled us to himself through Christ, and he gave us the ministry of reconciliation. And the chapter goes on to say, these words of St. Paul remind us that the mission of reconciliation is not primarily our work, but God's work. He calls us to participate in his mission by sharing our intercultural life and mission. So what I'm telling you today, remain impractical. Refuse to accept what is and envision what yet could be. For that is God's mission, an unrealistic and impractical vision of justice, peace, and harmony among all God's children. Thank you.